Live from Las Vegas.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Rock Hill, South Carolina, and the Bear Cave.
Hey, everybody, how we doing? Today we got Lee from Smoking Bear. We're going to have a little chit-chat about how we met, Lee's channel, and just have a little togetherness. Lee, take it away.
Well, so we started out 5 years ago as a barbecue channel, just me and my girls learning how to cook, trying to share the knowledge with them. And then as time progressed, we found a love for cast iron. So teaching them a lot of cast iron. And with the recent adventures in cancer, we've kind of changed things around. And now we're just trying to create the memories through cooking and share what it's all about. Share our journey and different ways of looking at food, and just I've been bringing in my buddy, and we just had a special cook for him last week. His mama had passed away about 4.5 years ago, and he had her original cast iron skillet that he grew up with. He remembered her cooking in this skillet the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Growing up, and it had never been restored. It was so cruddy that when you flipped it over, it had raised letters on the bottom, and you couldn't read it. And so with a little, he blessed me with the restoration, and that's a huge honor for me that somebody trusted me to do that with a sentimental piece.
Let's get into that a minute there. I want to explain to everybody about your great knowledge of cast iron. And you, like behind you on your wall back there, you have quite a bit of cast iron pieces. You want to touch on that a little bit of how you restore them? And
so
yes,
with any piece that I'm getting ready to restore, I built what they call a lye tank. Basically, you get lye, which is a drain cleaner, and you mix 1 pound of lye to 5 gallons of water. So I started out with a 5-gallon bucket, and then as my pieces got bigger, I had to have a bigger tank. So I just took a big tote, made a 10-gallon tank, and I just drop them in there, and the lye will eat the organic material on your skillets or your cast iron, whatever piece it is. And then after that, you got to wash them really good, get all that lye off of it. I let them soak anywhere from a week to 6 months. Once it eats the organic off, it's not going to do anything else. It's not going to ruin them to leave them sit for 3 months.
Wow.
Once it's done eating it, it's done eating it. It's not harming the skillet. And then I take it and I rinse it off with, I use cold water to rinse them off really good, and then I use Dawn dish soap, wash them up real good, make sure all the crud's off of it, and then if there's any rust, then I'll put it in a vinegar bath, which is 50-50 regular white vinegar that you buy in the cooking aisle, or at the end of the olive oil aisle or whatever. You just take that regular vinegar and mix it 1 gallon to 1 gallon of water, and I'll soak them in there about an hour. Pull them out, hit them with steel wool or not a Brillo pad, but like a Scotch-Brite pad.
Right.
Something like that, just to get the rust off of it. Wash it with soap and Dawn dish soap. I always use Dawn because it's safe for ducks. It's got to be safe for me.
That's right.
And
I like that. I like that philosophy.
Yeah, that's the only dish soap I buy. I don't buy any knockoffs or anything like that. And once that's done, I wash it with cold water, because if you use hot water, that will speed up your flash rust. So I use cold water, and then I dry it really good, and then I'll put any kind of oil you want on it, whatever you have. You don't have to have the flaxseed or grapeseed. I mean, that stuff's expensive.
Yep, exactly.
You can use vegetable oil. You can use canola oil, olive oil, bacon grease, ghee. I've got blends that Buzzy Wax makes. I really like that. There's another guy in Cast Iron Cookware. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got an Easy Beezy. And those are just different blends of oil and beeswax.
Now you're also connected. I mean, you're friends with Cast Iron Mike.
Yes.
Okay, and he does a lot of that, and you and him go back and forth with a lot of different stuff. So he knows what he's talking about when it comes to cast iron. Really does.
Yep.
Now,
Mike and I
go
go
ahead, Mike.
back. We started with cast iron.
Okay.
Yeah,
He took me through the Sportsman's Grill. I was cooking on that, and he got one, and he's like, "Hey," and then we kind of hit it off from there.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have never seasoned with anything but bacon grease. That was it.
Yep.
And that was because I had the father of a friend of mine growing up. He would season them. He would re-season his pans periodically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd seen him do it. I said, "Why do you use bacon grease for it?" He said, "That's what's going to get cooked in it. May as well be seasoned with it." And I said,
See,
"I can't argue that."
See, and I like, you guys right off the bat, with Cast Iron Mike and yourself, and there's a couple other people out there too. But you two guys were the main focus for me with the myth about can't use soap on a cast iron. Don't use use soap on it, this and that. And Mike and yourself both with Dawn, put the Dawn on there.
Yep.
Now back in the restaurant days, we would actually run them through because it was you had to. That was the law, okay. And I would do a certain dishes with steaks in cast iron. There's no better taste. I don't care about a grill or anything else like that. There's no better taste steak with some lemon butter in a cast iron, cooked to perfection. So we had to send them through after each cook. We had to send them through the dishwasher, okay, commercial dishwasher. And we had a ton of cast irons, okay. But my only way to get around that was after they were washed and dried and stuff like that, I would put them into the deep fryer. I had a hook.
Oh.
I'd hook the handle, drop it into the deep fryer for a little bit, take it out, put them on a rack, and let them dry. Get most of the oil off them. Wipe them down, boom, ready for the next service. For the next cook and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean I was glad to see that you can wash them. But there's a lot of people freak out about that.
Well, Lee, what's your philosophy on using anything tomato based in a cast iron? Because I've always been told never.
It's fine. Like if you're looking at something that's gonna, like if you're making chili, right, and you're gonna leave it sit on a high temperature for a long time, then you're stirring up that acidity, and it's gonna eat away at your seasoning.
Right.
Right. That's what it's gonna do. If you have it at a lower temperature and you're just kind of simmering, it's going to eat away a little bit of it. But if your pan's really seasoned, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll have a line around it where your level was.
Right.
And then you just wash it out, wipe her down, season it again.
Yep.
Like once you're done washing it, you wipe it all out and you got it all clean. You'll have a line in a little bare spot in your Dutch oven. Just where your level was.
Right.
Wipe it down with grease. Throw it in the oven, 450. Go eat dinner. Come back 2 hours later. Shut it off. Come back in the morning. You're good to go.
Yeah. Lee, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's discuss how we met.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, seems like it was 100,000 years ago.
So of course, with my brain issues, I had to sit here and think about it after we talked about doing this show, and I was like, "Oh man, I got to remember."
Well, it was very intriguing to me because Stephen and Jacqueline, okay, they're great channel, great supporters of people. Also, in fact, you know what? I'm going to contact him to see if we can get him up on here too, if he would do it.
Okay.
Great guy, great cook. They live down in Jamaica. Him and his daughter, they have their channel. Great guy. But I met him through my neighbor who actually started me doing YouTube between her and my grandson. So next thing you know, he's telling me, he says, "Oh, you got to check Smoking Bear on Sunday." Okay, well, being out here in the West Coast and you start up in the East Coast,
Yeah.
I mean, I had to set the alarm. Get up 3:00 in the morning. And go. But we got chatting. I hit it off with Lee right off the bat. Okay, we're talking about different stuff about, and he like brought me in like with open arms. Him, young channel. I don't know. Maybe I had 100 people, if that. I can't remember that far back. But yeah, I mean, he cooks with his kids, with his daughters. Does it live. Matter of fact, you to me are like the pioneer of live cooking. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, look at this!" And then I just down the line, I met a whole bunch of other people. But you were very instrumental of getting me kicked out, pushed out there to different people. Matter of fact, I do believe you're the one who pushed me into the barbecue community.
Very good possibility.
With everybody that was in the barbecue. Let's chat about that a little bit. What you do and how you do it.
Oh, so
I came to you through Tom, and you kind of pushed me into with the barbecue also, and I'm like, I like this because there's a lot of similarities.
Yep.
Yeah.
They cross over a lot.
I throw your names out there all the time because I'm so into what you guys are doing. You don't know what you're inspiring me on a day-to-day basis.
I told Mike, I says, "There's a barbecue guy that likes keto."
That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what I said. Where?
And I do the barbecue and I do the keto, but I'm not as strict. Like I'm doing the keto more as the inflammation because of inflammation.
Right.
Because of the cancer treatments and stuff like that. And
you built it to search your needs.
Right. And so I'll have the cheat days and I'm like, I know when I'm going down the chip aisle and Cubs with me, and she's like, "Ooh, I got to get some chips," and I'll say, "Oh man," and I hear Tom going, "No." I'm like, "But I'm getting salsa. It's okay."
and see, that's the myth. I mean, like I said, don't tie an anchor to your butt. You know what I mean? If you're gonna cheat.
Yep.
Okay, just get back on the horse. Just take in the back of your mind that guess what? I can do this here and there, but in the long run, I'm going to try to go the other way with it. Moderation.
And like you say, you only eat one big meal a day. So I've started noticing that I might not have lunch at noon. I won't eat breakfast. I drink a pot of coffee. I might not have lunch until, 4 in the afternoon. And then you're like right into dinner. And I'm like, well, why don't I just snack and then have a dinner with my wife because she gets off work at 5 o'clock. So then we can do a dinner and whatever. And I'm like, but it's lunchtime. I need to eat. And then my little voice, so Tom over here says, if you're not hungry, don't eat. I'm like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, see what I got right over here?
Yep.
And that was the other thing I liked about you, Lee, because you had the Mr. Potato Heads behind you.
Yep.
And I said, holy crap, I got one.
I moved him out a little bit so I could hang up the iron, but we'll have to break him back out.
I said, I knew like this guy right off the bat. He's got a potato head like I do.
It looks like you got Luigi back there, too.
Yeah.
Over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little, my oldest daughter's into Nutcrackers. So we have a little baker, Darth Vader, and then a chef.
That's Luigi.
Yep. And then we've got the gnome Elvis.
Oh, I love that. I love Elvis. I love it.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
If the barbecue community would just sit back and listen and look, there are so many ways that keto and barbecue cross paths. It's not even funny.
Really, if you don't need sugar in your rubs.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly.
Being that, so Rusty, my buddy Rusty and I are judges in the South Carolina Barbecue Association. And there's days I'm walking out of there high as hell. I mean, I'm just like, woo, because of so much sauce. I mean, there's so much sugar in the sauce and all that they know they do, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like when I come home, I just want salt, pepper, and maybe a light brushing of sauce, but not caked on like competition.
That's me. That's I'll always
I'm
want
with
that.
you. I'm with you. I don't need that much sauce on it. As
Yep.
long
Even
as
in a
it's got good
restaurant,
flavor.
even in a restaurant when I would do ribs and stuff like that, I would just cook it lightly with some, with either a little bit of rub on it. I don't like a lot of rub either, but I would brush it on, but then send the sauce out, to the table with the people. Let them put their own sauce and stuff on it that
But
way.
in-
This way,
Well,
The
stayed
way
out of
we
trouble.
started cooking was an ounce of sauce will cover up multitude of mistakes.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
seen that.
Oh yeah.
I just seen
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh
That was
yeah.
my man, Anthony Bourdain.
It's and gravy will too.
Yep.
And gravy will cover all kind of mistakes.
So then
So
when you're looking at the keto, and you're like, it's just meat. Like as far as barbecue, you're looking at meat, and then what are you putting on it? What kind of seasonings you putting on it?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need all the sugar because you're not majority of the time you don't put the sugar on at the beginning. You put it on at the end as a finishing.
Right.
Otherwise, it'll get too caramelized and burn, and then it's not good eats.
I had an old guy I worked with. He used to tell me, don't season your stuff because, like forest steaks and stuff like that in a restaurant, because you're going to lose customers. Let them put it on. That's why they have salt and pepper on the table. Okay. There's no need for you to cook with it, to an extent. So.
Yep. So everybody's salt level's different.
Yeah.
If you season it, and I don't eat much salt, but if I try it, I'm like, oh, like I watch Mike and he grabs in a handful like the claw machine. He's like, "Ugh." I'm just picturing like the Tonka truck reaching in, grabbing it, and I'm like,
well, the pink salt doesn't come across as much as the white salt. It doesn't. You don't have the salt taste as much with it. So that's why.
Like,
and I'm salting. I'm salting.
Dab. He's got the crane.
Yeah. I'm salting for the salt queen in there.
I'm like, wow, that's a lot of salt. When really for you, it's great.
Yeah.
But for me, it might be too salty. It's like.
So you had mentioned, I don't know if you want to discuss this or not, but you had mentioned earlier about your bout with cancer.
Yep.
Okay. If you would mind, if you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Well,
but,
it's fine. That's
I think it's kind of important to explain your story and how you dealing with it right now.
Well, and that was one thing that really connected us. Aside from diabetes, we also have cancer.
Yeah.
So we like to cook. We had cooking channels, and then we have these other
medical issues,
life-changing obstacles, as we like to call them. So, let's see, would have been December 2020. I noticed that I had a lump under my arm. I didn't think none of it, whatever. By July, it had gotten pretty bad, and I was forgetting stuff. It was like you were drunk all the time without even touching alcohol.
Wow.
I mean, you were just tore up all the time and moving slow. We ended up going to the hospital and looking around. And long story short, we found out that I had metastatic melanoma cancer, stage 4, because it was in the brain.
Wow.
I had it in 2 spots. I had it under my arm, and I had it in a ping pong ball size of my brain.
Jesus.
The ER doctor actually caught the one in the brain.
Oh wow.
So we went through the whole getting set up for that brain surgery. Had to do 3 rounds of radiation. Did brain surgery after about 6 weeks of rehab, and I was healing up pretty decent. Then we got started on we did immunotherapy.
Okay.
And which is different than chemo. where chemo will kill everything in your body. Immunotherapy basically gives your immune system speed, like a Red Bull, and makes it work in overdrive.
Wow.
So through that, we're trying to figure out how to eat. And from beginning diagnosis till even right now, I lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
And that was just because I was eating to my sugar numbers, not knowing why my sugar numbers were higher. So I was kind of unhealthy to begin with. But then once we got on, the doctors and that kind of stuff and watching it, then it was like, okay, well, I got to eat a little something here, a little something there. So it may be I have just a banana in the morning and not eat until the afternoon or evening. And then it's like just cheese and pepperonis, like I just wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
And so we did through the immunotherapy, we started kind of really watching what we were eating. Started kind of looking at the keto because my cousin who works at there in Noonan, Georgia, at the cancer facility, she was like, we're pushing keto at the hospital. So look at this and why. Cancer cells love sugar. You're a diabetic. You're a fat guy. You like sugar. So
bingo.
Yeah.
You just hit the trifecta.
So I'm like, okay. So, but then I got into a spot where right after brain surgery, I'm used to being up and moving and going all the time. I'm like, I've got time and I'm not doing anything. Let me learn how to make biscuits from scratch. Well, my family doctor says diabetes doesn't like biscuits. Yep. And I said, honey, that's the only thing I'm eating all day long. I'm eating 2 to 4 biscuits with mustard, and that's it. She was like, well, it's better than nothing, but, okay, watch it in moderation. Yep, okay. And then we moved on. And after about 6 months or so, then I started kind of venturing, like, I want something sweet. So I would get a box of zebra cakes. And Tom and I have talked about this before. I'd get a box of zebra cakes. Now, that's the only little Debbie's I'd eat.
That's evil little tips.
Not yay big. And they come 2 in a pack, right? So I take the one, split it with the dogs. So the 2 dogs, my little Queenie in my lab, they would get one of the zebra cakes, and then I'd get the other one. I didn't eat the whole thing. I'm good. But it was in moderation. 1 cake every few days.
It's the justification that cracks me up about that. I do the same thing. I'm good. I'm good. I only ate a box. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Between the 3 of us, me and the dogs, we ate a box in about 2 weeks. But there was just enough, and then it was a phase. I went out of it. I'm done. I'm good. And so currently today we are starting the 9th week of surveillance mode.
Okay.
So we went a full year of treatments and scans and all that, and we are in surveillance mode. So the end of March, and like actually a month, we will go back in for our first set of surveillance mode scans.
Oh, they're fun.
So this one I'm not too nervous about. It's the 6-month one that I'm kind of like, all right, it's been 6 months since you've had any drugs. How you doing?
How you feeling with it? I mean, as far as getting around more, a little bit more alert. I mean, the brain fog is there. I mean, that's just part of it. You know what I mean?
And the brain fog kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things that I found was my thyroid.
When you cheat, Lee, when you cheat, that's when the brain fog comes.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point because my thyroid's messed up.
Yeah.
That's a side effect of this immunotherapy. So my thyroid's always up and down. So when my thyroid's high, my sugar's high. So instead of flip-flopping medications, I try to keep eating low, not eating a whole lot of carbs or anything like that, and I have to watch the white starches because of inflammation, and so I try to cut as much of that out as possible.
You know what I learned? I learned to add more fat. Just sounds crazy because me and Mike are from the age of fat.
You
No
don't
good.
do fat. Fat's awful. Fat's bad for you.
Great. You know, that's what we came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every time I take a spoonful of butter, I start shaking because I'm waiting for the, for the fat gods to come down and hit me with a bolt of
Slap you
lightning.
in the back of the head.
Exactly. But I feel the more fat that I put into my system, because what happens, everybody gets the wrong impression about doing keto. And I don't want to get into a windbag thing about this, but you eat a ton of bacon, eat a lot of eggs, butter, and oil, and that's keto. No, it's not. Okay.
No.
Eating a ketogenic lifestyle is clean food, no matter how you add it up. Just clean food. Yeah. So I mean, if you're going to cheat a little bit here and there, that's fine. But when you get back on cycle again, add a little bit more fats. When I mean fats, I mean avocado oil, olive oil, butters. It don't have to be regular. It could be ghee, whatever. All right, heavy whipping cream, all that stuff like that. That's pretty clean to get you back onto again until your next cheat day. You know what I mean?
Right. And the cheat day. I mean, I don't even look at them as cheat days. It's a lifestyle, and
that's right.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna have them days where, and I find it mainly with my sugar that my depression's higher. If my sugar's high for, not just a spike, but for a longer period of time, then your depression's higher. If you deal with that, I mean, I deal with it, and that'll be higher.
I do.
And then you're just like, you throw your hands up and you're like, what the F is going on? What's the point?
Yep.
Let's just go. And then you're standing there at the checkout line and you're looking at there's a new flavor of Snickers. And then Tom goes, you're not hungry. You don't need that.
That's right. That's right. And you know what the funny part about it is? I was getting to the point where I was going, oh, you can't have that. And Mike's saying, relax. Okay. I mean, his videos, you can have this, you can have that. Do you? Okay. And he sort of brought me around to the point where, what are you getting upset about if somebody has, something out of a box of keto? That's them. You don't do that. Yeah. Relax. And that actually made me. You got me on your shoulder. I got him.
I found though is when you go.
I got both of y'all. I got both of y'all.
You get like the keto snacks. If you don't like coconut or cheese,
you're screwed.
You're done.
Don't eat it. Yeah, just don't eat it.
We were in at Sam's Club and I got a box of keto trail mix. I was like, okay, it's got peanuts and whatever in it, but I was like, you know what, it's okay. Moderation. But it had a ton of coconut flakes in it.
Mike didn't hear me talking earlier about I found this Mexican store, and I tell you what, Mike, they had a bakery. It was probably, to me, it looked like it was about 4 miles long. Okay. And I said in my video coming up,
Lord.
They make their own chicharrones. You buy them by the pound.
Okay? Man, yeah.
I was like, Marie's telling me, calm down, calm down.
That's the best kind. Oh.
So I said, if I ever fall off keto, you'll find me in this store with my own tongs getting the donuts. Okay. But the whole fact of the matter, why we do the keto show and stuff like that, is for things just like what we're talking about right now with Lee. Okay. We both reach out to one another and we talk about things a whole bit. And that's the friendship that we get from YouTube. Mm-hmm. Camaraderie. A lot of times we don't get a chance to watch everybody's stuff, but we do. Every once in a while. I'll watch Lee's Sunday because I don't get up that freaking early in the morning when he's on, but I'll watch him at night. Okay. A lot of times I'll like it. A lot of times I won't leave anything on here because I'm watching it on my TV and then I have my phone, sometimes my fingers and everything like that. But we're always there. We're always together in this kind of group here.
See, yeah, I'm the same way. And Lee talking about the brain cancer. My father died from brain cancer. So I feel on this, and I've got an extra added bonus to it. It was about 8, 10 years ago that I had my PSA level was elevated, and they sent me to a urologist. And he
My
said,
friend.
I'm gonna do a little bit better assessment of the blood. I'm gonna get a better blood test on it, and so I want to check that." And he came back with it, and he said, "Wow, your prolactin level's high." He said, "I want to run an MRI on your brain." And I said, "Okay." Well, I said,
It's not
"What do
where
you?"
my nuts are. But
And I'm
okay.
like, "Okay." And he goes, "So we're gonna schedule you up here." So I went to it and I had it done, and then it came back, and he tells me, I get word that they found a small tumor on my pituitary gland in my brain.
Hmm.
Scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
And because I know I'm sitting there going, my father died of brain cancer, and here you telling me I got a tumor in my brain, and so he made an appointment. He said, "I want you to go to an endocrinologist," and I said, "Okay." So I get in there, and I knew the endocrinologist because that's where Paige was going for her diabetes. That was her endocrinologist, and so I went in and I said, he said, "So how you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm scared crapless right now." And I told him why. And he goes, "Wait. Let's start this off right now with this." He said, "You will die one day." He said, "But it ain't going to be from this." But and I said, "Okay, we're good."
Yeah. The fear factor is, and then dwelling on it, I can't let stuff go. I mean, I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Lately, I'm
Mhm.
having a hard time sleeping. Okay, so I'm thinking, well, you're old. Okay, that's number one. All right. Somebody had told me to put this channel on and watch it. Okay, help you go to sleep. All right. It was a waterfall. I peed all night long. I couldn't sleep. I mean, so I don't, so we just moved on from there. But the whole idea is that when you start eating better, okay, eat a little bit cleaner, you start the brain fog lifts a little bit, and you start thinking a little bit more clear. When I first got into ketosis, I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was like wow.
Yeah.
So it's like it's all relative. I mean, to what you put in your mouth. I mean, and there's no keto police going to come knocking on your door and say, "Hey, you can't have that," and stuff like that. So you got to do it in moderation. Life is too short to be jerking around with restrictions.
Yep.
Okay.
If you want a zebra cake, split it with the dog, and then you're all good.
See,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a prescription right there for zebra
Yeah.
cakes.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. But
But
that doctor, he
Calories
put me on this doctor, he put me on a pill. He said, "Take this pill." He said, "We're going to do it. First off, we're going to do it 3 times a week. And then we'll hit you back once we reduce the size of it." And I was like, "Reduce the size of it?" He said, "Oh, yeah, this is going to reduce it."
Mhm.
I said, "Is it going to reduce it, or you think it's going to reduce it, or you
yeah,
hope it's going to reduce it?" And he goes, "No, it's going to do it." I said, "Okay." It's gone now. It's not there anymore, but I'm still on the pill because they take me off of it. It comes back.
yeah.
And so I keep taking the pill, and it's like $10 a month, to get it. So, I'm like, hey, I'll pay $10 a month.
Before we
I
found out that I had it in the brain, we were talking to the doctor. I forget which ologist it was, the oncologist, I think, at the time, and they were thinking that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma because it was right under my arm.
As my
Right.
brother has that.
And I was like, okay, well, at least it's not my brain. I'm good. Well, about a week later, we hadn't got the test results back, the biopsy back yet.
Damn.
And I walked into work, and my boss said, "Turn around, go back, sit in the break room until it's time to go home. You look terrible. You're barely moving. Go." So I went and drank a couple cups of coffee, and I was like, you know what? I'm going home. And I don't even know how I made it home. It was a 30-minute ride down the highway. No idea how I got home. I walked in the door, and the wife said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm beat. I laid down. She woke me up half hour later and said, "We're going to the hospital."
Thank
The
God.
ER doctor was looking at the scans, And where the first oncologist thought it was a shadow, he found a ping pong ball sized tumor.
Jesus.
And so then he comes in, he's like, I got bad news. Dude, I'm like out of it. I'm a zombie. I'm like, okay, whatever. What are you going to tell me? They just told me I had cancer, so whatever. And he says, it's in your brain. And I looked at my wife and I said, well, I won't say it on here, but
Yeah.
it was like, damn.
Changes your whole outlook.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 50 years old.
Yeah.
I went and seen my one primary doctor. We were still living in North Carolina. And one primary says, I'm making an appointment for you to go see a urologist. I said, why? What's the matter? He says, I see a 3-centimeter tumor in your bladder. Whoa, what are you talking about? Okay. And it just started like just the end of the world right there. I'm going to, I didn't sleep because I was going to die that night because I told, we don't know what it is yet, but it's something wrong. And then I went and I seen my urologist. Okay. And over the years, me and him became friends. All right. But there's only one way to check your bladder. Okay. They don't cut you open. They got to go through a certain area with a hose. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you have a couple tumors in here that has to come out right away. I mean, rock my world. I mean, what the hell? And the funny part about it was I had the first surgery. You had to wait almost 30 days. And I went back and they found more. So in the course of, I guess, 2 or 3 years, I had 8 surgeries and had 18 tumors taken out of me.
Ooh.
All right. I had more hoses shoved in me than you can shake a stick at. All right. Matter of fact, the last time I had my bladder checked, the doctor's talking about Trader Joe's sausage. Okay. I mean, all right, okay, Jesus. But then I was never ever declared cancer free until I believe end of 2021.
Wow. So
They
that's
told
only
me
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and they told me the whole time, 14, 15 years, that there's still traces of cancer cells. There's still cancer cells. And I didn't know what else to do. And not to be windbag because this is Lee's time, but the whole idea was listening to certain doctors put me on, and the treatment that I was getting may cause type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm Murphy's Law, whatever's got. Guess what I go end up with? Type 2 diabetes.
Yep.
Okay. Then they put me on a juice regimen, drinking juice. I was drinking collards and then apples, carrots, and stuff like that. Well, next thing you know, sugar went through the roof.
Yep.
So, I mean, but I do believe eating clean. I'm not saying keto but by itself or anything like that. But I do believe clean eating does the trick. So
when we were talking with the oncologist, before we started immunotherapy, and he says, well, this could be a side effect or this, right? And he said, one of them is you could become diabetic. And I was like, I got you, buddy. He goes,
I am.
What do you mean? I said, I'm already type.
I'm already there.
And he goes, type 1? I said, no, I'm type 2. He goes, you could be type 2. And I went, shit.
Yeah. I always say this, okay, and I got one coming up pretty soon. Matter of fact, I just had my blood work done. It took me almost a month to get my schedule to get blood work done.
Oh, that's a story in itself.
My A1C jumped. Okay, went from almost normal, and it jumped almost 2 points. So there again. So now me and him got to sit down and talk because I'm looking to get off different medications. But I think the whole idea is some of the medication I'm on. A month or so ago, I had 4 grapes, and that threw me into a tizzy. Figure that one out. So, Lee, what do you feel is going to happen now? With you're going to continue with your your grilling and barbecue and
yeah, because I like to take, and this was one thing that when we started the channel was trying to do things in a different way. Show that you can whatever you do in the oven, you can do on the grill. Mm-hmm. And then we started looking at different healthier options. Like we dabbled in paleo for a little while. because we found problems with my middle daughter having gluten intolerance.
Okay.
So we started kind of the paleo stuff and meal prepping and stuff like that, and then that kind of fell off. And we're kind of doing the keto stuff as basically for me as no inflammatories and low sugar.
Yeah,
is what I look at it, and that's what drew me to it, and that's where I'm staying at. But the one thing I ain't figured out is any time that you start a new diet or lifestyle change, you go straight to the baked goods.
Yeah.
This diet's going to work. I have to be able to have cake. Now, I might only eat cake on a regular basis, like twice a year. But in order for this diet to work, I've got to have cake.
Yeah,
I know. I got to know it's there for me.
Right. So that was the first thing you did. The wife's like, we got to have cake. And I was like, okay, yeah. Because if I can't eat sweets, we're not eating this. We're not doing it.
And the first thing that you turn to it, because you go right to YouTube and watch about how do you make this, and the first thing you get is almond flour, okay,
Yep.
Which could be the worst.
And
coconut flour,
all the different, so almond flour, coconut flour, tapioca starch, and you got to mix them all. They can't be all one or the other.
No.
And then you get into the sugars.
Oh.
And let me tell you what, there is one that will upset your stomach and give you gas like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It hurts gas.
Yeah.
And then there's one that just tastes minty and bad.
And see, that's my whole premise with it. I mean, I watch a lot of channels and they'll mix up these different sugars and stuff like that. There's no studies on this stuff that it is any good for you. Just like back in the day, how saccharin took over, okay,
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they turn around and say, "Oh no, this is no good." So 10 years from now, they're going to turn around and say, "XYZ supplemental sugar cause for you to have horns grow out of your head." You know what I mean? So that's
yesterday about stevia being bad for you.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
That's like one of the highly recommended things on any diet.
And it was
had
probably
a horrible aftertaste.
Yeah, and it was probably a study that was done by monk fruit.
Yeah.
And that's the way it rolls. You know
but
what
I found coconut sugar is good because it has a lower glycemic index.
It does.
So you don't have that spike when you do have a sweet.
But it could affect
one for sugar.
It can affect your stomach. That's the other downside of that stuff.
When you're looking at, I'm having it in a cookie, a non-sugar cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. For that time that you gotta have it,
Oh yeah. I'm with that.
Very rare, but you gotta have that sweet, or else this diet ain't gonna work.
I had a baseball bat on my shoulder. I'm heading for the door. Maurice says, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm going to the store."
Well, my dad would come in, and he's diabetic also, and when he comes in, he always makes chocolate chip cookies, and he has a couple of throughout the day or whatever, and I'm like, all right, well, he'll mix Splenda instead of sugar,
right?
He does like a half and half or whatever, so they're healthier. I was like, try the coconut sugar, Dad. Try that.
Everybody says to me, "Well, you know what? You talk out of both sides of your mouth." He said. One guy said to me, he said, "Here you are drinking wine and telling people to stay away from sugar." Okay. I said, "See,
there's a big difference."
I said, hold on a minute. I said, the alcohol, okay, makes my sugar go down.
Yes.
Okay. Says nothing about the next day hangover. Okay. So, I mean, there's no cure for that. But I said to have a couple. I said, now there again, have a couple, moderation. Everything's done in moderation. Ron, who was on with Mike last week, he talked. His big thing was, you do you, I'll do me, and moderation for everything. And he's right. And he's right. He's 100% right.
He is 100%.
I mean, you could sit down with a bag of chicharrones, okay, and eat the whole bag, and feel like crap when you get done with it.
Yes.
It's too much. You know what I mean?
Now, Lee's probably seen these commercials. You know the Mayfield ice cream and all. Being in South Carolina, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Well, Scotty Mayfield, who's the guy who runs the company now, he's I think it was started by his ancestors, but he got on there and was doing a commercial, and he was talking about his ice cream, and he says it's low fat, and somebody said, Scotty, is it really low fat? He said, well, not if you eat the whole tub.
Yeah. So my wife, during all this cancer stuff, and I mean, I was out of it, right? I'd say, hey, what do you want for dinner? And she was just a big ball of stress. And she's like, the last thing I want to think about is food. That's always been your thing, and now you're not doing it. I don't want to think about it. Just give me a hot fudge sundae. So, hey, whatever. I'll get her a hot fudge sundae. I'll go to the store. I get stuff for that. And if you sit down with a cereal bowl, you ain't putting in one little scoop of ice cream. You ain't doing it.
Nope.
But if you get yourself a small coffee cup or a teacup, put a little bit in there. Now it looks like a lot.
There you go.
Your ration is now less than a scoop or less.
Perspective.
But it looks like a lot, and you're happy.
Yep. See, the whole thing with me is, all right, I'm doing it because of that, not to lose weight. Okay, that'll come. Okay, I lost 58 pounds, and I'm still dabbling with 2 pounds to lose 60.
Mm-hmm.
You know, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So, Mike was another one. Put this in my head. Okay, if you are going to have something, don't jerk around with it. Have the real thing. If you're gonna have pizza, have freaking pizza.
Yep.
Okay. You're gonna have ice cream, and then move on.
Found the difference.
Well,
Found the difference. So there's this place where my daughter's working, and right next to it's a really, really good restaurant. And we would go in there, and you get a sandwich and fries, right? I'd eat one fry. Next thing I know, I caught myself shoveling them in. I'm not even finishing chewing. I'm shoveling the next one in because I hadn't had fries in so long. Oh my goodness. And I said to myself, with my mouth full, like, my cheeks are puffed out and I can't fit another fry in there. And I'm going, my legs are going to hurt like hell tomorrow.
That's the key.
Right now, they feel good.
Feel good.
Yeah. I just made butternut squash fries.
Those looked amazing.
And I'm going to tell you what, they were good, but I had just a little bit of it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I got a smaller one, cooked it up, and that was it. So it's high in carbs. I mean, just for one serving is 16 carbs.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but deep fried it, try to get most of the water out of it, most of the sugar out of it, and stuff like that. And it pretty much worked out. But there again, moderation. If you're gonna have something, have it. You know what I mean?
So I started substituting the fries for a side salad.
There you go.
There you go.
Yep.
I tell people, you go to the restaurant, and they'll say, you ordered a hamburger, get it without the bun, and they'll say, oh, well, you want fries? No, you have a vegetable I can have with it. A lot of places will have it, but they'll have some kind of vegetable they can replace it with, and they'll do it without any problem. It may be a salad, it may be you get broccoli or whatever, depending on where you're at, but they'll substitute something for you.
Very accommodating. They can be,
Yeah.
and I noticed out here. I mean, I can go to the buffets out here, but I just can't get in that dessert line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I do, I look like a linebacker coming through the line.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do the good stuff and have the buffet. I mean, I call it pitch till you win.
Well, if I wanted dessert, I wouldn't ordered the appetizer and the meal.
Right.
That dessert would have been my meal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we've got one. It's fine dining, and but you go in casually. The chef, there's a chef, and it's chef driven. It's a restaurant here, and they have stuffed mushrooms on there, and I said, "What do y'all do with the stuffed mushrooms?" They said, "It's cheese and sausage. That's it." Yeah. I said, "Nope, no breadcrumbs." Nope. I said, "Give me some. Give me some."
I met the store manager yesterday at this Mexican market, and I had said to him, I said, "You mind if I take some video and stuff like that. He said, policy is that we don't allow it. He said, but I don't see anything. So I said, oh, beautiful. So I went around, just a little bit doing what I'm doing. So it occurred to me that everything that I bought didn't have a label on it. Okay. The things that I did buy that I know are not good for me have a label with the ingredients. I said, Dad, that's going to be my new pitch. Okay. If it has a label on it, got to back off. Like
I like that. That's
the tortillas. Okay. 7 carbs. I had 2. When I made the video, I had 2 of them, and that's all I had. All right. Marie had 2. My sugar went, here's the clear difference. My sugar went up normally. As soon as you shove something in your face, your sugar goes up. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the proper time, within an hour and a half to 2 hours, back down again. Not back down to normal, but it dropped.
Yep.
So that tells me insulin's working, everything's falling into place. I'm 68 years old. I know for a fact that the damage I have done to either my pancreas and my liver, okay, between the cancer, the medications, some alcohol and stuff like that, I will never become diabetes free. I'll never reverse it. I'll have it still, but not as bad as I did have.
You'll control it.
Yeah, it's more controlled and stuff like that. So I got that in my mindset as far as medications and stuff like that. Lee, and I'm sure you got the same perspective now.
Yep. And now it's finding. So we found those keto tortilla shells. I get the street tacos, so they're yay big, kind of like the Mission ones. I've had the Mission ones; those are really good. I like the La Banderita.
Yep.
Those ones taste more like a soft taco.
Yep.
And not as the Mission ones I find are more the cross between a corn tortilla and a flour.
Right.
Like that texture wise. So my kids don't know the difference. They love the La Banderita ones. It blew them away on the using the pork rinds as breadcrumbs for our wings.
Like I said, I rest my case.
Yep. And they knew it. They knew what we were doing because that video was supposed to be like the 5-year review, like kind of mark where the Old Bay breadcrumb packet was what we did our first video on. And that's where we were then. 5 years later, we're making our own. And we're using pork rinds and Old Bay.
Yep.
Let me tell you all about a channel.
Cook them in the oven at the same time, on the same sheet. And the kids agreed with me without even knowing that they were agreeing with me.
Yep. Yeah, that was good. That was very good.
And they came back 2 days later and said, "Can we make those again?"
There you go.
Okay.
There's a channel that y'all ought to both check out if you hadn't already done it. This man does more things with pork rinds than you have ever seen in your life. His name of his channel is Chef Fat Grams.
Oh, I know who he is.
Chef Fat Grams. I've heard you guys talk about him.
I'm telling you, he is brilliant with them. The things he does, and it is just, you just there and go, wow.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chef Fat Grams.
That years ago, that would sound like a threat to somebody.
It is so good. I'm gonna contact him and try to get him on here at some point and do a thing with him. He lives in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. But my granddaughters, they come here and they'll spend the weekend or whatever, and they love my breakfast burritos. Or a breakfast taco or something like that. They're eating those tortillas when they do. They don't know the difference.
Yeah, and see, anything's better than a bowl of Cheerios and stuff. My newest rant is, who gave General Mills, or any cereal company, the authority to put vitamins in their cereal? Mm-hmm. And if they're so good for you, why do they have to put vitamins into it in the first place?
Exactly.
But is it really that they're adding more vitamins, or they're just telling you what's already in the grain?
We don't.
they spray them with the vitamins.
Well,
Fortified.
I was in the grocery the other day, and I was looking at olive oils. And there's one guy I watch, and he goes in the grocery stores and tells you the good and the bad of all the food or whatever. And he's always talking about single sourced olive oil is the best. Every olive oil on that shelf, the whole end cap, was multiple sourced. So I was like, okay, well, anyway, while I was looking at these, this guy walks up and goes, "You want processed crap?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Get the bacon up." Because it's bacon grease, commercially made bacon grease. All right. So I looked at the ingredients in that. I was like, holy crap, there's a list like this of the ingredients in bacon grease.
Yeah.
I said, man, you are spending $7, 5 to 7 on a pack of bacon. Just save that.
Yeah. So you know, drum smoker and stuff like that. I just found this place this year. Okay. It's a Filipino store, and they'll cut pork any way you want it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll buy the pork belly. Okay.
Yep.
I'll smoke it myself. I don't even smoke it anymore. I just cut it up and cook it normal.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take that hard piece off there. You don't have to have it smoked. If you want, you can, fool around with it, whatever.
You can do burn ends with it in the oven.
That's what I do. Yeah. I mean, and because the price is much better. I mean, I want to know what kind of pigs they are that you got to pay almost $8 a pound for 12 ounces, not a pound, for bacon. I mean, it's almost a joke.
Because the name is bacon.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what they're cashing in on now.
Yeah.
I bet I know the name of that channel you're talking about because I watch him too. Bobby Parrish.
Yep.
He is good.
Yeah.
He is good. Some of the things he'll say, this is good for you about the grains. These are the good grains. And I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't doing that. But the other, you have to go through and pick out what it is that fits into what you're doing. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is good. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta weed. It's like anything; you gotta weed through the crap to get to the good stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just, I mean,
because he's marketing his channel to a myriad of stuff. He's doing it for paleo. He's doing it for a whole he's Whole30 and keto.
He's his app and all that stuff, and order through me for here, whatever.
Yep.
Well, the whole fact of the matter is, you got to make what's good for you. Now, Marie, there's nothing wrong with Marie. She don't take a pill for nothing, okay? But she stuck with me eating my way, and it was no big deal. And she lost like 51 pounds, okay? Feels great, the whole bit. But there's nothing wrong with her. So it can be done by anybody, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the sad fact is that when you do go to the store and walk around, I found that these two ethnic stores, the Mexican and the Filipino store, Asian store, the prices are right where we need them to be. Okay? Go to the conventional store and they're gouging us for garbage stuff. I mean, I bought zucchini in Smith's the other day, brought it home, okay, put it in the refrigerator. The next day, went to cut it, it was all bad in the middle. I mean, you can't, but it was squishy. It got squishy and stuff.
That's too quick. It shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's my point. So, now, what do you see yourself doing this year with barbecue and stuff? You're going to stepping it up a little bit, and or you're just going to hang back?
So as far as cooking, as soon as the weather breaks a little bit, we'll start doing more outside cooks during our Sunday mornings. When it's winds blowing and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit harder to kind of do it outside with the, cameras and whatnot. Definitely be doing more on the Weber kettle and on the drums. You kind of run into that. What's different? How many ways can you smoke a chicken?
Yeah.
I've got racks of ribs, and I'm like, the only way that I've not done a rack of ribs is when you roll it around like a crown roast.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not going to fill it with mac and cheese.
Right. Yeah, no.
So it's coming up with something to go on the side. Roasting roasting more vegetables and stuff like that's kind of where we're going to be doing more stuff of.
Did you feel that your taste had changed from smoked stuff or increased?
My attention changed. My passion changed.
Gotcha.
That's what changed. To do a rack of ribs now, I'm jacking that temp up and I'm done in 3.5 hours.
Bingo. Now you're in my house.
I don't want to sit there all day like I used to.
Yep.
To do a pork butt, the last ones I did, I jacked it up. I was done and rested and ready to pull in 8 hours.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I was just, my attention span just isn't there. So I'm like, instead of running 250, I'm running 375, 400.
Yep.
I want to get it done because I just don't have it. And I didn't have the energy to stick with it. So a lot of that's changed in the way we're cooking and preparing. And I'll go to the store and I'll find stuff on sale. I'm like, yep, this is what we're going to do. And I'll have the recipe and I'll have everything. I get home and like a week later, I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to do that. just don't have that. Just don't have it.
I've got a friend who he'll talk about, oh yeah, like Memorial Day. He'll say, yep, we're going to be barbecuing. And I said, oh, what you going to do? He said, going to put chicken on the grill. I said, that ain't barbecuing. I said, that's grilling.
Now, growing up in Ohio, if you had a gas grill and you were doing hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken breasts, that was barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, he lives in Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati.
Okay. Once you get through Kentucky and into Tennessee and then south, barbecue takes on a whole new meaning.
Whole new meaning.
New meaning.
Yep.
And
Sure it does.
I learned everything after I moved south.
And if you're here in your where you and I are, barbecue means pork.
Yep.
If you in Texas, it's beef. You know.
And it's all regional.
Right.
So Texas says that they claim that they're the birthplace of barbecue when really it was South Carolina. This is where the ships came in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is where the pigs were introduced to the new land.
Yep.
And being a part of the South Carolina Barbecue Association, you learn all kinds of stuff. You meet all kinds of people, and you take on a whole new appreciation for barbecue.
Georgia's got the birthplace of Brunswick stew.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I love me some Brunswick stew.
Oh, yeah. And I'm here to tell you, if you can't stand a spoon up in it, it ain't stew.
It's not ready. And you know what? That's a fact too.
Yeah.
That is a fact. And now I just went through a little bit of an argument, okay, about chili, beans or no beans.
Yep.
Okay. Now, when I learned how to make, in fact, I had my neighbor a couple of houses down from when I lived in Katy, Texas, told me, boy, no beans. Okay, no beans, and that's why I did it. Now, when you talk where you come from, and then down to South Carolina about how barbecue changed.
Yep.
I came from New Jersey, where you said hamburger and hot dogs. It wasn't barbecue unless the hamburger tasted like lighter fluid. Okay? So then when I got down into Houston area like that, and we go to these barbecue on these farms that they would have, okay, and a lot of the workers and everything would do this, and of course I don't know, back then it was like $5 or something to get through, and you seen these quarter steers on these big wire, big poles, like stuck on these poles with a fire raging, okay.
The Asada cross.
Yep.
And they would just turn them, and they keep turning. That opened my eyes about barbecue. You know what I mean? So, pork or beef?
I got one for you to think about, Lee. Doing a pig in a pit.
So my buddy's got a big smoker that he had modified that we could fit a small pig on.
No, I'm talking about digging a pit in the yard and putting it in there and doing it there.
We've talked about it, and then it comes down to money. Buying a hog.
Yeah.
You know, to find the whole hog and then having the cash to get the whole hog.
Yep.
Two different things.
Yep.
And that's
You got to get one of those suckling pigs. You'd have to do one of the suckling pigs probably.
You need a loan for that too.
And that's going to be your cheapest. That's going to be your cheapest version more than likely, but it's still going to be expensive.
What we found is they charge you more per pound for the suckling pig.
Really?
Because the amount of money that could be lost when that thing grows full size.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a hog, you're like, just hypothetically, $2.97 a pound, a full-grown hog, and then you look at a suckling pig at $6.95 a pound. You know, so you're like, okay, well, it's cheaper because it's only 10 or 15 pounds, but they're charging more per pound because it could be a 200-pound hog when it's fully grown.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So your overall price may be cheaper, but your price per pound is going to be higher.
Right.
I got you. Yeah.
So everything has changed so much over the past, I would say, 7 years. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, where you could buy stuff. I mean, seafood you could get fairly cheap. Okay, especially when I was in Florida and stuff like that. You know, nothing better than right off the boat, Gulf shrimp and stuff. Can't touch it now. But out here, the frozen, easy peel, 1620s, U15s, and stuff like that. I get 2 pounds for $15.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the only thing. But it's frozen. So, but I mean, at that point, who cares? You know what I mean?
Well, we'll stock up on it like as we find sales, and then we'll do a big low country boil. And,
oh yeah.
That one you did, boy, I tell you what, was nice. It was good.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
That's my wheelhouse. That's where I came from. A seafood restaurant, Staten Steaks.
It's one thing that I learned in the South. And so I was making cornhole boards years and years ago because in Ohio, that was popular. And when I moved down here in 2007, it was just gaining popularity down here. And so I traded a lady a set of cornhole boards for a turkey fryer pot so I could do boils. So she got me a Brinkman kit, and I still got it. And that's what I learned how to do boils in. And we probably do 2 a year now.
Yeah.
And I have an 80-quart pot that we'll use.
See, I want to do a keto low country boil.
Yep.
But do it in the kitchen. I'm going to do it on my channel. I got to figure out how I'm going to do it. I've been wanting to do it for a while and hadn't figured out exactly how to do it.
So
I'm going to do it in the kitchen.
Your taters, you don't have to put taters in.
Oh, you can substitute.
You know, but otherwise it's pretty keto.
Yeah.
You throw
the corn. You got to take out the corn, of course, too.
Yep. But once you throw in Brussels sprouts, green beans, mushrooms, cauliflower's killer in it.
Yep.
Broccoli's good. You just load it up with all the other vegetables.
All that other stuff, and it'll And I gotta. And I'm gonna show you how to do it for just 2 people. You don't, if you don't have to do it in the big one. You can do it on the stove in a little one and be just as good. And just 2 people do it.
That was my whole hog cooker.
Oh yeah, yes sir.
That was it right there.
That little piggy will do good on there.
Yeah, no more than 100 pounds because what I did was I spatchcocked it. I opened it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh well, you can cook forever if you don't.
Yeah, you know what? The whole idea was to get it done. You know what I mean? And like Lee, I don't have patience for it. So and what I did was along the rib cage. Okay, I would cut it down along the rib cage, and they would actually when they cooked, the ribs would stand up.
Stand up. Yeah.
All right.
No plates. Everybody had a fork.
Pull it off.
And they'd stand in line like a walking pies and
Yep.
Pull it that way.
Speaking of that, did y'all see Man Kitchen Recipe? Him doing that reverse spatchcock chicken?
Yeah, I just watched it last night.
I'm like, I saw the title. I said, no way. And then I watched it. I'm going, damn way.
Well, at first I was like, what's he mean? And then he split it down the breast, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't I ever think of that?
Well, exactly.
And where he's talking to oysters, Those are the best.
Yes.
Kevin's got a great channel. Kevin is a great supporter for us guys.
Oh boy, is he ever!
It seems like every Wednesday when I upload, his is the first one that's commented.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's there.
And Kevin just don't. Hey, how you doing? This and that. Kevin leaves a book. He'll leave you a paragraph, very meaningful and stuff like that. It means a lot to me. It really does.
Now I got a question for you, Lee.
Okay.
When you're eating your keto meals, what is your go-to favorite keto meal?
Good question.
I think it all depends on what I'm hungry for.
Okay.
So if I want, which is very rare now, but pasta, then I use these
shirataki,
whatever they are, the pasta zero noodles.
Yeah.
But if it's just I'm hungry and I don't know what, it's going to be those quesadillas.
Okay.
Using those soft taco shells, some cheese, and pepperonis. That's a quick. I'm hungry. I want something there. Pimento cheese and pork rinds. That's always a quick one to have.
Oh, that's a great one. I love that one. Yep.
Then get the at Sam's Club. They have the big tub of spin dip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my wife, I love her to death, and she always looks at me because she likes that naan bread.
Oh,
that naan bread is good.
Oh yeah,
and that is addictive. You can't eat just a handful. You can't eat just half a bag or a container. And you hurt the next. My legs hurt the next day.
You know what? Before keto, I would take the big one, the big piece, not the smaller ones. And I would take the big one. I'd make pizza with it.
Yep.
Oh man, that was so good.
I'll tell you, I made so Kevin did this Man Kitchen. He did the chicken pizza crust.
Yes.
That's been on my list to do for a long time. Well, then I got to looking and I say, you know what? That's only one ingredient different than the chicken nugget recipe I've been wanting to do. The exact same thing.
Yep.
I made the chicken pizza the other night and the wife loved it.
Yep.
I didn't, because I did it in a cast iron skillet, but I didn't preheat the skillet.
Right.
I put the skillet in with the dough so it all came up to temperature at one time.
Right.
I should have done it the other way. I should have preheated the skillet with the oven, pulled it out, dropped the dough in, flattened out, stuck it in there. But anyway, I had it on parchment paper so I could flip it out, flip it into another skillet, and good to go. But my wife loved it. And a lot of times when I tell her I'm doing something keto, she's already got this, oh, shit, it's not going to be. And that's because the biscuits.
Lee, I got to go back. I got to go back in time. Okay, at one point, I thought you were going to have a scream match on a live. Okay, because you started filming and she come out and she says, "Are you making biscuits?" I almost spit my coffee out looking at Marie. Oh,
yeah, and that was during brain surgery, so like that whole time, so I was out of it. And she was already mad because I was keeping up the live, because that was my way of, trying to keep some sort of normalcy.
Yeah.
And the Cast Iron Wednesday challenge was biscuits. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do keto biscuits. I did 4 videos, like throughout the month, every Wednesday, live, of keto biscuits, and they were all different recipes. And all the gravies were different recipes. I found one gravy I liked, and I found one biscuit that wasn't terrible. But they weren't good. So she's like, "You're not doing biscuits again." No.
That cracked me up. I said, "Oh, poor guy." I said, "Jesus." So and you just looked like went, "All right, it's biscuits. We're having biscuits."
So when the dude, he says, "Hey, can we use pork rinds for biscuits?" And I was like, "Yeah, I bet you could."
I bet you could.
Yeah. And I mentioned it to the wife, and she said, "You're not doing biscuits again."
Okay, Now me and Lee touched on this earlier. Okay, we're getting closer to time, but I want to. Here's the deal. This guy right here changed my St. Patrick's Day life.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to announce it now. All right. That for St. Patrick's Day, which is March 17th, okay, the Keto Show is going to put up a challenge, okay, the craziest corned beef sandwich.
Okay.
I love it. I love it.
But I know what 3 of us are going to be making.
Yes. I did find. I was telling Tom. I went to 4 different grocery stores, mainly to walk, but also looking for caraway seeds. I finally found them. So I have a small little jar. So those are going to be coming.
Lee, I'm telling you now. I've been cooking all my life. I'm telling you. Me and Marie watching the video. Marie went, "I'm going to make chaffles." They were off the charts. My kryptonite is bread.
Yep.
Okay.
Mine too.
All kinds of bread. And my thing was in the morning, nothing like having a piece of rye toast, some butter, and your coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe 3 bites into it, then you could talk to me. Okay. But when I haven't had it, I used to make my own rye bread. But when his nut over here, where is he? He says, "Oh," just listen to him on his video. "Oh."
Yeah, I saw that and I went, I've got a jar of sauerkraut already, and I've got a can of corned beef.
There you go.
So just to clear the record, we went to. I was looking for certain thing, and we went every store we went, couldn't find it, and then we went to Goodwill. Okay, every once in a while I like to go down to Goodwill, spread the wealth a little bit here and there, whatever. And guess what they had there? Didn't have what I was looking for. All right, but they had another chaffle maker.
Yep, I find them there all the time.
Okay, $2.50. I tell them,
jump on that bad boy. Jump on it. You can't have too many of them.
They got a place where you can plug them in and check the stuff. Okay, and I actually burnt my finger checking the waffle line. So we're gonna have rye chaffles at the Yin Yang, buddy.
At Goodwill,
don't make too many of them at once because they heat up okay, but fresh is much better.
Oh, they won't last long, Mike.
I was at Goodwill and I found 2 of those chaffle makers, and the oldest cub was like, "Well, we'd like to make waffles sometime, but we don't have a waffle maker." So I was like, "Well, here's 2 of them."
Yeah, perfect.
But my wife, she doesn't like chaffles. When I was learning how to make them, I tried so many different recipes, like the biscuits. I mentioned chaffle. She's like, "Yeah, no."
Hey, I'm gonna blow your mind again. You won't believe. You're gonna have to wait. I ain't gonna tell it now. I'm just gonna say you won't believe what I used the rye chaffles in, and the video will be coming out probably Wednesday or Friday of next week. Probably Friday of next week.
Mike, you can't open a box of worms like that and just leave me sit like this.
Yeah. Rye chaffles in something.
Yeah. What is the guess?
Yeah, I had to cut them up to put them in there.
Meatloaf.
Nope. No, that's a good guess though.
I took some chaffles the other day when we did the side salad on the live. I took a couple of chaffles and I chopped them up and used them as croutons.
Yep.
I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah.
I made the ones with I made ones with mussels, clams, and shrimp. Okay. Made another one with crabs, crab meat, stuff like that. But I cut them and then made dipping sauce with them for one of my happy hours and stuff like that. They would here's the thing. You can't eat too many of them.
Right.
That's the good thing with it. I mean, you can put all kinds of stuff in them, and
you will get full before you have done damage with how many you eat.
And I've tried the cheese fried pickles.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Those aren't bad.
No.
My wife was like, "Don't call it a fried pickle," but
See, Lee's a man after my own heart, and like Mike too, not afraid to try anything to get it going.
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's why we were in
I'm
the
only
olive oil.
limited by what my thinking is.
Also, one other thing also before we start wrapping this up is in April we are going to be doing an olive oil collab.
Okay.
Okay, everybody who's in the
they're waiting on this.
everybody who's in the olive oil club, okay, is going to want to do to join us. This is going to be fun.
Okay.
I won't announce it yet. Like Mike, I'm not going to announce it yet, but be ready for the alert on it.
Now,
So
hey, I got to ask you, what was the first thing you did when you saw olive oil and Senor Avocado in that video?
oh, that cracked me up.
I went, ooh, dun, 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 dun.
That cracked
They're
me
going
up
in
now.
it.
I had images of Pepe Le Pew.
Too funny, too funny. Well, I'm wrapping this up here, Lee. What's quickly? What's your future and what are you going to be doing this year? Any special cooks or anything?
I don't have anything really planned as far as cook wise. We're just kind of whatever sounds good and try it.
I like that. I like it.
We're gonna try to do more of the barbecue competition stuff. We started that last year. We would go and judge, and then try to show a video of some of the behind the scenes and meet some of the teams and stuff like that. So,
that'd be cool.
So we did that a couple times, and we had trouble with mics, microphones, picking up background noise and whatnot. So, I think the last video we did, we just kind of did like an overview, and then I had to take out the sound and. But looking at doing some more of that stuff when we do the comps. Rusty's wanting to really get back into competing, but that's all kind of on my brain, whether I can keep my attention span. I'm actually struggling with trying to keep up with topics on Sundays.
How about writing it down when you get the idea, and then you just go with it from there.
Right.
The last 2 weeks, I forgot the paper. So I had the notepad, and I had stuff wrote down, and then I go back and we're ready to go. And I'm like,
yeah.
Where did I put that?
Maria said to me, "How'd you do at the store?" Good. Why? You left a note here. Yeah, the left. Oh, okay.
I started keeping it on my phone.
You know where I put the list? You know where I put the list when I'm going to the grocery store? Right here.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. It'll be there, but then when I walk in the store, I can't find it.
The Rolodex don't go that way.
Lee, I got to tell you, one of the best moments you have ever had on your Sunday Live was when you made that cake out of that keto cake. And it was a disaster.
Oh, it was.
And you're like, well, what am I going to do with it now? And then your wife says, why don't you make cake balls? And I'm like, because I'm thinking the same thing. Well, how are you going to come back from this? And then she said that, and I'm like, that's genius.
That's the beauty of it. That's why I'm saying, we all get along because there is failures.
Oh yeah, it was a complete. I was like, man, what am I going to do? This is going to look terrible when I get done with it. Because if I try to ice it, it's just going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
And not knowing how that keto icing was going to act when it was heated, it might separate because it's got a lot of Crisco.
Oh yeah.
In it, so I'm like, it's just going to fall apart. And I was like, man, I don't know. And I was like, let me just post it as a fail. And she's like, no, why don't we add a little bit icing into it, crumble it up, make cake balls. And I was like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And wow, that is the best keto cake mix I've ever had.
And putting the icing in it was a stroke of I'm like, oh yes.
Yep.
Yes.
and on top of it, it's on video. You go back
Yes.
and watch it. You want to learn how to make it? Go back and watch the video.
Yep. And Rusty was like kind of surprised, because it was kind of like his birthday, and I was using the football pan was one that he'd given me. He's like, I saw it at the store or whatever, picked it up for you, whatever. Okay, so it'd be a good way to use it. And my heart sank when it fell out in 27 pieces. I was like,
you roll with it pretty good though, but
you did.
When my disasters happen, they're X-rated and they can't be seen. They can't even be seen in China. I mean, that's how bad they are.
Oh, like when he made Pinguini with it.
Yeah. I still don't like the mandolin. I avoid it at all costs. I'd rather bear chop it than make it look pretty. We do the rustic look.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes,
hey, one story before we go. You talking about going to the doctors, right? Now, my oncologist, he sent me to get they found some fluid on my heart, and the one thing said, it's gotten worse, so we need to get an ultrasound done. I'm like, all right, okay. Not thinking about an ultrasound, and I'm a guy, so I go in and I'm like, okay, and the lady's getting ready to start going. I said, "You're not going to use that wand, are you?" She said, "Wand? What?" I said, "For the ultrasound." So what are you talking about? I said, "Years ago when my wife was pregnant, that's the last ultrasound I remember. They pulled out that thing about yay long with the camera at the end of it. And it put me in, like, it was traumatic for me because I'm like, as a guy, how do you compete with that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm already traumatized. I'm traumatized from an ultrasound. And so this young lady, she was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean by ultrasound?" And then she's like, "No, we're going to put these little paddles on you." And oh, okay. She goes, "And besides, there would be more than just me in here if we were doing that."
Yeah.
So we go to the oncologist, and he says, "Hey," he goes, "so your ultrasound came out good." I said, "Let me tell you something there, buddy." And he goes, "What? You didn't prepare me for that." And he's like, "Oh shit, man, what happened?" And I said, "Man," he goes, "it was just an ultrasound." I was like, "I know. I'm thinking they're pulling out the wand and he goes, "Wait a minute. You thought they were going to check your heart from your bum?" And he flips around in his chair and about hit the floor. Because he's got that little stool, that has no back on it. So he spins around, throws himself back. His feet are above his head. He gets the counter, and he's just rolling.
That's funny.
He goes, "You thought they were checking your heart through your bum?" I said, "Come on, man. I don't know this stuff, and I got a brain trauma."
That's unbelievable.
He looks at my wife, and she's just going.
Yeah.
She goes, "Seriously, he was scared. He came out like sweating and was like, why that didn't go the way I thought it was."
Yeah, exactly. Too funny.
Well,
all right, we're going to put this one to rest here. Lee, I appreciate you coming on. I really do.
This has been a hoot. This has been a real hoot.
We'll have to do it again. We'll do a couple months. We'll come back and keep checking in and making sure everything's going good. And this was really, really fun.
I've had a blast.
All right, so with that, guys, we're going to say sayonara, and we'll see you next time. Next week is Mike, and we'll put up and see who we got coming up. All right, with that, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Rock on, everybody.
Stick around, guys.